Well, let me turn the sound off here. Too loud.
Here's what we want everyone to do. Count all the hugs you haven't given, all the hands you haven't held, all the
Yeah, buddy. Oh, yeah, buddy. Is anybody there yet? So, today's Juneteenth. As kids, we were into it a lot more, but to be honest with you, to be blatantly honest with you, is the most enthusiasm. This is the most press cover. I mean, in my whole entire life, this is the most I've ever. Do I got sound here? This is the most I've ever heard people even mention Juneteenth. My whole life. Juneteenth is the time where all the black politicians used to come out when I was a little kid. You have festivals at the park, you know, shit like that. You hear? Do we have sound here? Is that working? Is sound working? So, I'm an adult. This is an adult show. So, we talk about adult things. So, today's show, um, I smoke. Excuse me, but I don't really like smoking blunts. I don't like smoking blunts at all. So because I don't like smoking blunts, I normally use zigzags. But I buy all hemp zigzags. I've been smoking these for about a week, and they're not that bad. They're pretty good actually. And I tried these right here today. To be honest with you, the twisted hemp wraps are better than the hemp zone kush. So far, these are more moist. The box just came about 15 minutes ago. And you get 5 per pouch. But the overall feel, see, look, you can see it's dry. You can literally see it's dry. I said I've already had these a week. And, I just opened these. Now I'm going to open one of these. Oh, first of all, let's not be wasteful. Let's put this dry shit back together. Put it back on the tube. Stick it back in here for now. Let's do that. So while I'm doing this, we're going to have a conversation about what's going on in the news. I am over 50 years old. And ever since I remember, it's the same conversation. You know, oh, man. You know, police beating people up, racism, same thing. Look at this. Oh, look at that. Look. That is not. Look at that. Look. Look at that. That's not dry. That is beautiful. I like the twisted hemp papers. Now, somebody said they were dry. I haven't experienced one dry one in the whole pack. I don't like blunts. You know. I used to do the backwoods blunts because they're all natural. Seal it back up. Back in the box. So later, we're gonna deal with this today. So growing up, you deal with certain things and certain people and certain kinds of people and certain incidents, and you just deal with it. So the other day, I bought a piece of music equipment. This is super dry, and the guy's like, "Brother, oh brother," sound like sound like Hulk Hogan, brother. They're just beating us in the streets. They're beating us in the streets. Then he goes on to tell me about how he's Indian. So there's a lot of similarities to a racial bullshit incident where a guy was being super racist. Uh, uh. So, so there's some similarities. This guy's brother. But then he starts, I'm Indian. I'm this Indian, whatever. When I told him, don't change the laws for black people, because that's what, you know, people who don't like black people, first thing they're going to say is, look, we had to change the laws for you so you guys can get a job in 2020. Shit like that. We don't change the laws for us. We don't want you to. But people with my frame of mind, my state of mind, people with my state of mind, our attitude is don't change the laws for us. I've always had problems with certain white folks in the workforce because there's no continuity. There's a set of rules for this guy, set of rules for this lady, set of rules for this person, set of rules for that person. I understand that management type of style. You know, you'll get people to do things for you because you tailor and a response based on them. In other words, it's like being a Phil Jackson, but in real life towards everyone that comes to your company and works for you. But when it comes to people of color, most of the time, there's a lot of bullshit. You know, it's like you have to do this. We all work in the same company, but I got to do this. But she don't have to do it, and he don't have to do it. You know, and it's weird. I've seen in certain situations where people were just treated fucked up solely because they can. I worked at this one place where we made picture frames, laser craft, and you made picture frames. And I worked on a night crew, and this one guy I worked with, his attitude is if something breaks, we'll blame a temp. Well, the problem I had with that philosophy is I was a temp, and the last thing anybody want to be doing is watching people break shit and knowing that they're going to blame somebody else, some from the agency that you work for. So I work for Manpower, and my whole attitude was I don't work for the company that Manpower sends me to. I never had that attitude. I always said to myself, I work for Manpower. So pretty much, fuck these people. That's my attitude. That's how I looked at it. Fucking dry. Look, Like I wouldn't dare bend this over my finger. I don't know. What kind of bend it? It's made out of hemp, so but it's still dry though. It's not dry and crackety. Uh, uh, yeah. It is what it is. It's pretty good right there. Hmm. So these are smaller than the other ones, as you can see. The twisted hemp papers are wider. These are wider. Yeah. Twisted hemp so far is better. I've tasted these earlier today. To be honest with you, I'm getting older, so my hands don't work like they used to. And this shit is fucking small, you know. So let's get back to the conversation, talking about the guy, brother, they're beating us, they're beating us. I'm like, hey, man, why don't we stop talking about changing laws? Because if I was a white supremacist, that's the last thing I want to do is change the laws for some damn black folks. I want you to think about this. Even one law, a slight change in the law, is enough to piss people off. Don't say that you're doing this to help us. Don't do that. What I want is some continuity. In other words, if black people are only 20% of the population, they should only be 20% of the arrests. They should only be 20% of the people in prison. They should only be for 20% of whatever the fuck situation is going on. They shouldn't be 100% focus of crime. That's just stupid. If you focused only on white people and crimes that white people commit, do you know how many crimes would be committed if you just pull over white folks for whatever you thought was a crime? And then when they question, why did you pull me over? You can arrest them. So that way, soon as the white person says, why am I being pulled over? Then the officer should say, you're under arrest. Because that's what happens when most black people question the police officers. They're just told that they're going to be placed under arrest. What did I do wrong? Why are you pulling me over? You're under arrest. If you have to ask the question, then you need to be arrested. So, hey, if black people are treated like that, just treat white people the same, and then the laws won't have to be changed. I personally think that's the best way to go. You know, nobody feels special because everybody is treated the same. So now people are saying you're just advocating for white people to be beaten up or something. You want violence at home. You want to see white people's head busted under shoes and you know just like the cops do black people. You just want to see white people go through that. Now, I'm not saying that. I never said that. I said during the conversations you have with the police, if you ask the police officer a question they do not want to answer, then you're automatically placed under arrest. If you think I'm lying, you ask millions of people, black and white, when they question the white police officers, or even maybe a gung ho black police officer, I don't know. But once you question a police officer's authority, you go to jail, period. In my experience. You don't say, well, officer now, like on TV, you see like on Cops, when you see the drunk lady going through that 45 minutes of no, you don't in real life. As soon as she would have acted up once for 2 seconds, bam, handcuffs, slammed on the ground, drunk, white, black, whatever you are. When you're on Cops, they slam you on the ground. It's the neighborhoods. They don't do that in certain neighborhoods. You can go to the most so-called best neighborhoods and see kids going in and out of those neighborhoods. That don't mean those kids don't have drugs. But if you pulled over the exact same amount of white folks at the exact same rate as you do black folks and treat them exactly the same, what do you think the outcome would be? And let's just go back to quotas. Remember back in the days when the only way a black guy could get a job is if the company was forced to have, what is it called, equal opportunity employment and hirers? Why don't you have equal opportunity policing? If the police officers pull over 10 people, 2.5 of them must be black. If the police officers pull over 100 people in a day, 25 of them should be black. Get what I'm saying? Let some of these white folks deal with the police officers. You think the police officers will be less likely to bust a white person's head? Well, if they're pulling over more white people in certain neighborhoods, they'll beat the shit out of white people too. Real people know that. It's the people who are asleep out there and who assume that whenever somebody has contact with the police, they must have done something wrong. It's those dumbass people. So when it comes to defunding the police, that's stupid. It's the dumbest shit anybody can ever think of. Now, the police officers and the police officers union, they get their monies from taxpayers' dollars. The police, my friend, work for you. This video camera is supposed to be all that. And I don't think the video camera is all that. Now, I hate this because this is small, very small. This is 100% hemp, 100% hemp papers, 100% hemp filling. It is what it is. Moral of the story is this: if there was some continuity in the way the police treated people, the problem wouldn't look as bad. And if people can just not give a damn about 1,500 people dying every day, then I'm pretty sure if they knew exactly how many of those people was how many people or what kind of people was what kind of people, then you'd understand why nobody gives a fuck about how many people are dying every day. Did I say that right? Now, black people make up 25% of the population. That's what somebody told me. I thought the number had went down to like 17% or something like that. I don't know, but that's what I was told. So if we only make up 25% of the population and we make up 59% of the people dying from the virus. See what I'm getting at, right? Why would a group of people who already don't give a shit about a group of people give a fuck about a group of people dying in the hospital? Why would they be encouraged to wear a mask to save somebody who they don't like? Look at America, people. That's what people are thinking. So why would people think that? That the country doesn't care because it's mostly black people dying. That the country's law enforcement people don't care because they're only policing black people. So if only black people are being policed and only black people are dying, how do you think my Juneteenth is going? I've been on here, YouTube, doing conspiracy theories, talking race since I've been on YouTube. I've heard stories my entire life. I sat and watched my uncle get beat up, beat down by the police about 15 years before they even whooped the shit out of Rodney King. I was beaten by the police and run out of town as a child. You don't know? Google it. But Out of all of my experiences with the police, it's like, it drives you crazy. I did a video called A Twisted Apart Mind, where I did a bunch of songs and I strung the videos together after I got back from jail, after getting the shit beat out of me in front of my family and my neighbors, and tasered and almost murdered by the police in my front yard. For those people who don't remember those days and age, look back at the videos. I had to pull videos off the internet because people said that they would use those videos against me in the court of law. That's how paranoid and scared I was back in those days. But now, it just is what it is. I've been seeing black people get foot to the ass my entire fucking life. And nobody ever had to tell me that my life mattered. And I said on videos before that, growing up, you think showing black people roots was demoralizing to me growing up. When I saw that shit, that what white folks was just laughing. And that was making jokes, calling people Kunta Kinte and I'm gonna cut your foot off. That empowered racism. Showing roots empowered racist people when I was growing up. You know what they used to do back in slavery days? They get all the slaves and take them downtown, I guess, like town square. People show off their slaves and shit. Like going to a dog show and shit, I guess. You got these guys showing off their slaves and shit. And then some guy would take the biggest, strongest looking slave and put him in a stockade and rape him. They did that shit. Or they take a pregnant woman and tie a rope around her legs, each one to a different rope, and then they put on the horse and they slap the horses and they'd rip the woman apart and the baby would fall out. And they would show this to the other slaves to teach them a lesson. Just like showing a man get shot over and over and over in slow motion says, this is what we can do to you. Just like showing somebody with a foot on their neck for at least 9 minutes is showing what can happen to you. You see, there's all kind of ways to perpetuate racism. It all depends on how you look at it. Some people see that guy with the foot on the neck and say, yeah, buddy, yeah, underfoot, fucking nigger. They'll just say that shit and look at it and laugh and enjoy seeing it because they know the outcome of what happened to the guy. And then when they show the guy fight with the police, every black person in the world knows once you scuffle and fight with the police, they can kill you. I have survived those too. That's why I'm in the town I'm in. That's why I'm in the world I'm in. It's called Manifest Destiny. Run from a town as a child, forced to live in a situation I was not prepared for. And from that situation, I bounced into another situation that I was definitely not prepared for. Life throws screwballs at you. They throw tanks, they throw rifles, they throw bullets, they throw a lot of shit at you when you're a young black kid. They burn good. Slow burn. So I'm only 52 years old, and I can tell you some horrific racial stories. Getting beaten and chased by the police. Da, da, da. Just like in the TVs and the movie, getting locked up. Some guys like that shit. Some people like going to jail because they have nobody. Nobody. There's no camaraderie. It's just you and your boys But in prison, it's you and your dogs. This is it. Life or death every second in this bitch. But guess what? I'm 52 years old. I have never been to prison. I can say that shit. I'm proud of that. That's something that a lot of people of my persuasion, I could have been in prison for nothing. It's so easy to get locked up being black. You can almost virtually get locked up for doing nothing. You can probably just fucking fall asleep in your car and end up dead. So today's Juneteenth. And for those who didn't know, Juneteenth was made famous by Donald Trump. Somehow nobody knew about it until he actually was going to do something on the day that it happens on. Who would have known that Donald Trump is the reason everybody knows what Juneteenth is now? Well, there's a fly in here. I hate flies. Flies fuck with you. Seem like they buzz by your ears and shit. They can buzz anywhere in the fucking room. But a fly, when you're trying to pay attention to something, just fucks with you. For no reason at all. The fly is buzzing around my fucking head. Like my head is a big fucking planet, and his orbit is just pulling that motherfucker in. Gravitational pull makes the fly want to fly around my head. It must have pissed him off. He must have left. He'll be back. You see, life is itself is full of irritants. It's like having a person in the room trying to make you laugh, and you don't want to laugh because you're trying to be serious. I can honestly tell you, my entire life has been filled with stories of racism. It's fucking weird to see people waking up as if they didn't notice it. I want to say to those people, you're full of shit, and you did notice it. You knew it the whole time. You knew it when grandma and grandpa used to say certain things, and you go places and see something different. But for some people, what they've heard about black people or white people or people in general is true. For some people who could tell you those stories of pain, hurt, and just complete horror, the shit is true. I was working in Berkeley, and a young lady from Venezuela, she had just came to work in our office, and she told the boss that when her and her family first came to America, they was robbed by some black guys. That lady didn't like me because in her mind, everything they heard of the stereotype about black people was true because they was fucking terrorized by somebody black. But I had to pay for that because of the way that woman treated me. I'm breaking this conversation down to a serious point because what if black people started treating white folks like white folks in the past have treated them? I'm not rich by any means, by any stretch. About 2 years ago, I was in Las Vegas. We was walking in Vegas, me, my wife, and the family. And I looking up there at the top of the stairs, and this one guy was only asking black people for money. And when I got up to the top, he says, "Hey, brother, listen, dude." I sat down there, man, while my brother was smoking his cigarette, and I sat and watched you ask everybody that did not look like you for something. How come you didn't ask the people that look like you for help? You don't want to burden them, but you want to burden me? And the people looked at me like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? I'm like, no, he's not asking you for money. He's asking me for money, as if I owe him something. Fuck you, man. I was in the war. I'm like, what war you in? Which one? War against meth? What war was you in? And life is fucked up for people. I understand that. But I've heard some things from some people, and I've seen some things, and I know why exactly he was only asking black people some money. Because black people tend to want to help those beneath them. And when they see a white person that they can help, or they feel like they got a little connection to, they will lift that white person up the best they can. Black people ain't gonna let nobody fall behind. That's why. Brother, I stopped calling brothers brothers. You see, everything that we've ever done, we've been mocked. Talk bad about us and then do it. When little niggas down there was playing that jazz music and that rock and roll, and then that rap and that funky music, white boy. Everything that we have done, we don't do no more. Because the Borg have taken it, assembled it, and assimilated it to their own will. I was listening to some R&B the other day. And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy with the tattoos on his fucking eyes? And shit? What the fuck is this bullshit? That's Post Malone. What the? I don't know what the fuck. So I'm like, okay. So now I'm listening to some rap music. Once again, there's no black people. So I'm saying to myself, okay. And then it reminds me, I flash back and I remember I was watching this a lecture. And the lecture was about the history of music. And the man was talking about how black people created classical music. And you fast forward all this time, and black people ain't even synonymous for classical music. It's like the blues music. When I was young, I went to Tennessee and shit, I went to all the little clubs and I heard some real blues music. Then there was a movie called Roadhouse came out, Patrick Swayze. And then I noticed that I stopped seeing black people singing blues music. You got to look that shit up, or you got to be in it. When I was growing up, black people played all music. They were in all music. They did everything. It wasn't just this music or that music. It was all music. And you could listen to all music because all these people was different. It was a mixture of different ideas and cultures You know, these guys taking something from these guys and putting their own spin on it, and that made it cool. But shit, auto tune. What's next? Flies taking over the music industry. Where's the creativity? Because as soon as it is assimilated, it no longer has the flavor. I listen to rap music now. It's like sound like these dudes. Has a man and my girl chicken, cheating with, cheating with. She be cheating with. So it's just, and I'm not trying to be a separatist. Like, oh, I hear black music and the white music. It's shaking the hips like the Elvis Presley. I'm not going out like that. I'm just saying is this. In my entire life, I've been hearing a group of people say a lot of negative things about brown people, and everything that those brown people have done, they no longer do. Those people who said that brown people are doing this stupid dancing are now doing the dancing. When I see black people now, I see black people imitating white people being black people. That's the difference between when I grew up and what's going on now. Instead of people being them damn selves. Yeah, you like hip hop, fine. Do your hip hop. Let me do it too. Let me do it my way. Don't force me to cook my food with your flavors. It don't fit. It kills me. It drains my soul to see my own not forefront in their own. I ain't tripping. Oh, remember the country music stylings of Ray Charles, Charlie Pride? You know, country is just another form of the blues. So, what is Black history? Black history is a group of people trying to create a history for themselves, a culture for themselves, but the culture is not guided by themselves anymore. The culture is media driven, based on what a group of people think you should act like, because that's how they'd act if they were you. Just trying to be honest. Projecting. You need a lot of police to take care of the problem. And the problem is everything you don't know. If you don't understand something, you destroy it. Because in our society, instead of people listening to each other, they would rather tear down everything than to work together and build something. You got a handful of good people and a whole bunch of other bad people. And the good people are no longer alone. You see all this unity and marching and stuff. That's because the good people are no longer afraid and they're no longer alone. when you're powerless and you see injustice and you can't do anything. It's like being a child being molested. Can't get away, you can't fight, you can't do nothing when you're alone. But when you have a tormentor who collects people and puts them in pens, guides them around by their emotions, you have to pay attention when you do that. Greed and politics and schemes, profiteering, that can turn a majority into a minority. And those good people aren't alone anymore. They can speak out now. They can stand by these other people who have experienced the same things. And if people can stand by people of different shades and different colors because of shared experience, that doesn't tell you that one group of people have been executed and murdered enough. Early in the conversation, I showed you an example. I told you about an example of how the herd was controlled through fear. They take that woman and strap the legs to two different horses, rip her in half, let the baby fall out. Take the biggest buck and break him in front of the whole town. Have 4 or 5 guys rape this man while he's strapped to a fucking pole. And when you show a whole bunch of people who were afraid to speak up, you show a whole bunch of people time and time again, over and over, those same people that was afraid to stand up or speak out, you show them that they were not alone. They couldn't speak out, but now they have numbers. They're young. They're tomorrow. They're white. And they're black. And they're Mexican. And they're from Europe. And they're from India. You see, there's a lot of good people on both sides. And now, for the first time in American history, there's a lot of good people that are not alone. Thus, giving them the power to change things. So that maybe the little mixed kids live down the street don't have to hear stories for 50 years about people who died 100 years before that. For the same cause. People have been taking the knee for 150 years. And when I hear the one story about Juneteenth, that makes me laugh every time. The black soldiers was coming back from the war, and they were telling the slaves that they're free. The cold-blooded part about the whole shit is that they had been free for 2 fucking years. I laugh at that. group of people have been set free, and it took them 2 years to let everybody know. So, what do we say about the future? How can you decipher what I just said? How can you understand what I just told you? Oh, how you feel knowing that it can be better than it is now, and it should be better? The whole entire system has failed. It's failed all the people. Can you imagine 150 years ago? Think about it. If my uncle made it to a certain age, just say 60, and now I'm 52, and his uncle was like 50. How many generations is 150 years? Three, four generations? Five generations? I don't know. But can you imagine 150 years ago when the slaves were set free? What if they could have joined back with their original tribes? What if the tribes weren't wiped out here in America? Because that's another thing that nobody's told you. There's documents and there's records of black people being here in America before Christopher Columbus. Columbus was surely before slavery, but that's a whole different story. Don't want to blow your minds. True African history. Oh yeah. But there's a lot of people now who just do the right thing. And if 150 years ago they had this idea to make America all this and all that, whatever. Once the slaves were freed, if everything was the way it was supposed to be, America we'd probably be what, on 4 or 5 planets right now. The minds of everybody working together. Because if you look up some shit that happened throughout history, who drew the plans for Edison? Times have come, times have gone, and now times will change. The good people are not alone anymore. They're empowered. So let's go back to what I really started with, and we morphed all the way into what's really going on. When you change the way things are for a group of people, that gives another group of people the right to say, This would be this way if it wasn't for you. Things changed just because of you. What's going to change for me? Sometimes we leave people out. Everybody has feelings. Every time there's been a situation with black people, another situation would pop up. Why is it this time black people are being paid attention to? Maybe we are a distraction from the virus that's killing us. And this virus may not be killing a whole bunch of white people, but it's killing white people nonetheless. And as an old friend of mine used to say, when I get the bag of Skittles, I start with the purple ones. And I eat the yellow ones last. So I'm talking about a virus, which is a creature, a monster within itself. It's an animal, it's an entity. When it eats all the brown M&Ms, it'll just go after the next color M&Ms. It won't stop. What if this virus is like AIDS? You catch AIDS and you have AIDS forever, right? What if you catch COVID-19 and you have the virus forever, and once a year you can literally cough and kill somebody for 2 weeks or a week or whatever? Maybe for a week you're sick, or a week before you get sick, you're coughing, can make people sick and kill people. What if it don't go away? What if once you get it, you're a carrier for life and you can give it away for life? Would you then be a pariah with all these black people that survive? Would they have to be quarantined somewhere? Would all the people who catch it have to go someplace and be someplace? So those who don't have it will never get it. We don't know. What we do know is that there has been injustice, there's been stupid, there's been dumb, and right now people don't have no time for all that race bullshit and all that other crazy stuff. People are struggling to feed their families. People have nothing, living in tents. I was downtown the other day. Have a parking lot. It's underneath the overpass, over by the mall, and I'm riding my bike through there, and it smelled like fucking shit. Tents, all kind of makeshift shit. This is America. There's large swatches of cities with people living on the fucking ground in America. And that's not great. There's so many people on drugs. young kids, young white folks, young Mexican kids, young black dudes, young white girls, young Mexican chicks. You don't see too many young black chicks out there. They all old black chicks. But let's see if we get the flight to land right here. Let's see if it'll land right here. A little fly trap for us for the next 5 minutes. So, people, this is just a regular conversation. Today is supposed to be some grandiose holiday to remind me that my ancestors were in chains. Or maybe they wasn't my ancestors. A lot of people go through a long list of things to try to make you believe. Watch Hidden Colors. That's the beginners for people. Hidden Colors, the documentary. Watch the entire series. That's the beginner. That's the beginner. For all you people out there who think black people blow smoke up their ass, watch Hidden Colors. Get the book. I forgot who it's written by. It's called The Creation of the White Man. Get the book. Get the lectures. Why do they call them Caucasians? Get the lecture. You might have a fly. Let's see if we can get him. Oh, here it goes. Well, this is my second one today of these. But I don't know. No on the Hemp Zone Kush. The flavor's all right. Maybe with a different smoke, it'll be better. I don't like the size. It says 5 for 1. 5 for 1. 5 for 1. These are 4 for 1. These have a superior taste, but I'll bring another couple boxes next month. We'll do 2 more boxes next month. You know, got one more minute left. Let me see. Oh. And the papers I use are the Pure Hemp papers. I use the Pure Hemp papers. You can get these on Amazon. You can also get the Twisted Hemp on Amazon. And you can get the Hemp Zone Kush on Amazon. Maybe if they're fresher. I'm going to try the Hemp Zone, a different flavor. And then I'm going to try the Twisted, also in a different flavor. I won't do 2 grapes. That's stupid. Okay. See you folks later. And it is what it is. All for one and one for all. Love somebody, and you've been tubed.